All right, let's move on to the final game on the MLB card. 9:08 p.m. Eastern. Padres Dodgers. NLDS Game 2. Dodgers up 1-0. We're in Globe Life Field in Texas. And we don't have a line out yet because we don't know who's starting for the Padres. I mean, Jace Tingler is in tough. I just don't know how they can continue doing it. And the last time I said I don't think they could, I got crushed. And that was game 3 of the Cardinals-Padres. So the Padres used 9 pitchers for the third time in 4 postseason games. That other time when they didn't use 9 pitchers, they used 8. How can they keep going? So there are 2 major questions here. How can this bullpen keep being used like this and succeeding? And then will we see playoff Kershaw? And the playoff Kershaw we saw in the in the wild card series, against the Brew Crew was spectacular. 8 scoreless, struck out 13. What do you think? Okay, let's start with Kershaw. Nolly, I know you're a Dodgers fan. You live in the city. What do you think about the idea that Kershaw's arm is not taxed because there was a 60-game season and he's ready to excel? Because this is the point in the season when he's usually excelling.
Well, I mean, that could be an argument, but I think he was ready to go in the season. I think the bigger thing is the time off that he had and how he applied it. That's a big thing. I mean, you hear it even from the Brewers manager when he was on the live broadcast. He talked about that velocity and how he's throwing a lot harder this year. That's something that I looked at, and that's a big indicator with these pitchers. They correlate to strikeouts. They correlate to success. The velocity matters, and I think that was a big thing. The fact that he is fresher, it is something. But something that I talked about on the last appearance, he said, "What did I want out of Clayton Kershaw? I wanted them to manage him like an average pitcher, and they still didn't do that. Late in the 7th inning or in the 8th inning." They come out to get him, and he waves off his coach. That's what's got them into trouble in the past. I think they need to yank him when it's time. But I expect Kershaw to be dominant. He's looked really good. He had 2.54 ERA in the month of September. And here against San Diego, he's had some success. So I think he feels confident against them. Got to watch out for Machado. Machado likes hitting against him. And I expect Clayton Kershaw to be on his game. Would you like me to talk about the Padres
bullpen? That is a cool. Let's talk about Kershaw just a second longer. It feels like many in the chat think Kershaw's back is in order, his velocity's up, and he's going to roll. JT says Padres are a different team than the Brewers. I'm a Dodger fan, but Kershaw has to prove me wrong in the playoffs. Al Max says Kershaw's going to roll. The Padres have been emasculated, poorly managed. These Padres hit lefties hard, 250, 761 OPS. Not with a ton of power, but 250, 761 OPS. Let's get into Jace Tingler and the Padres bullpen. How can they keep rolling?
I think that's a really, really tough ask of the bullpen, and specifically when you see his management of the bullpen. And I quote that because it's pretty evident what he's doing. He goes out, he picks a righty, throws 3 outs. Then he takes him out, grabs a lefty, 3 outs, then goes back to the righty. That's all he's doing is going back and forth from righty to lefty. There's nothing that I see that he's really managing the bullpen. It's a simple strategy. And the problem with that strategy is that you need every single guy to have their stuff. All it takes is one guy not to have their stuff, Matt Strom, and you get lit up. And the fact that he's going to sit there and argue a strike call, get thrown out, I thought was ridiculous, being that was strike 1 that he was arguing. He wasn't even arguing strike 3. That was just 1 strike. He wouldn't have got the guy out anyway. So I've doubted this manager, and what he did yesterday is tough. But nonetheless, they're in a tough predicament as it is. And they're asking a lot out of this bullpen. And I talked about it earlier when we were talking about the previous games. The 5 straight days. I mean, it might not be 5 straight days, but playing every day with no rest is a big factor and gives the Dodgers, to me, a bigger advantage. I would have liked to see everybody healthy. I always like to see the best matchups possible, but the fact that they're not is a really, really tough ask. And Tatis was held down yesterday. That's a big problem for that lineup. He gets going, he gets emotional, he pumps that team up. So you got to look to keep Tatis down. And like you said, the bullpen, it's just too much to ask, I think, in my opinion.
I agree, but that game 3 against Cardinals threw me for a loop. Let's look at these head-to-head numbers against Kershaw. The Padres bats 228 against him with a 624 OPS. Machado is 5 for 18 with 2 homers, 6 ribbies, 278, 611 slugging. And Hosmer is 9 for 27. So Hosmer 333 with a 519 slugging, 876 OPS. Tatis 3 for 8. He's hitting 375 with an 875 OPS. So the Will Myers just doesn't touch him. 125, 307 OPS. But Machado, Hosmer, and Tatis do. What is going? I mean, we don't have a line out yet. I guess. What are we expecting? Are we expecting a minus 210 opening line for the Dodgers?
Yeah, I would definitely expect about 2, somewhere right around 2, depending on who starts. Do they go with Davies here, which is what I'm expecting them to do? He's had some success against the Dodgers recently, and I mean they don't have many options. I mean, Paddock is not going to be an option. I wouldn't expect, but who knows? But yeah, I'd say around 2, and really an angle that I might be attacking here is actually the total. That's a Texas ball club, a stadium that the ball has not been flying. Some that even the announcers were talking about yesterday. Couple of those hits I felt that would have carried elsewhere. The ball was not flying in that stadium. Might be looking to take a full game under here.
Wow. Almac has the stat for the Dodgers on the -1.5 so far this season. 39-24 plus 10.85 units. Says bet LA -1.5 and call it a day. What do you think, Nolly? Do you think you're going to be making a move on this game?
I might be taking a look at the total, depending on what they're going to give me. I hope they give me somewhere in the 9, about a 9. Like I said, that ball club. I mean, the stadium is what I like, is that the ball is just dying out there. But I can't argue with that. I see a significant edge when you talk about Kershaw versus San Diego bullpen. And these guys have been pitching a lot recently, and they're going to keep on throwing. A lot of familiarity starts coming into play. And the fact that they had the Dodgers to no hits in the first 6 innings is just was kind of comical to me. But just the fact San Diego wasn't able to take advantage of some of their opportunities. They're in a tough spot. They know it. And this is a tough ask for them going against the Dodgers. Yeah, I try to keep my fanness out of it. I do like it, but at this point of the year, I don't take my team.
Backdoor cover says, what about the -1? Let's say, for instance, the Dodgers are -220 on the money line, and the -1.5 is -105. Let's pump that into the run line calculator, and that gives you a -164, which is just a ton of juice. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what pops out, but I'm not comfortable with the under, even with the marine layer. I do think that these Dodgers bats they just, even when they're not right, they're putting up 5 runs. And now we have a tired Padres bullpen and possibly a righty with off-speed stuff. I mean, I understand that what choices does Tingler have? What choices does he have? He doesn't have much. And so